Hey everyone, it's Tuesday, September 22nd, 2020. Welcome to Weigh-Ins, an MMA spin-off series of the Ginger and the Beard podcast.
In this week's episode, we'll be discussing the outcomes of the latest fight night, including Tyron Woodley's third straight loss and Khamzat Chimaev's 17-second knockout of Gerald Meerschaert.
And of course, we will be talking about UFC 254, headlined by the fight we've all been waiting for, Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. Stick around.
All right, let's do this.
What's up, guys? I'm AJ, aka The Ginger.
And I'm Reese, a.k.a. The Beard. Before we get in the episode, how has your week been so far?
Pretty good, man. Tuesday, pretty busy Tuesday, actually, with work. But the weather has been beautiful this week.
Yes.
I'm actually, excited. It's kind of getting cooler outside. I'm
Me
a
too.
summer guy. I typically like the summer, which is unusual for a ginger like myself. But I do enjoy the sunshine and the vitamin D.
Always more to do.
Yeah, it's been super. It was a hot summer, man, so I'm excited. It's cooling off a little bit. Been going out for some skate action during the day. I just catch a break from work.
Nice.
And not coming back completely drenched in sweat. So that's always fun.
Nice, dude.
But other than that, yeah, man, pretty chill so far. I'm gonna be going to the gym tomorrow morning, super early. So you gotta get to bed a little bit earlier tonight. But I did actually miss the gym on Monday.
Oh, no.
So I got this fancy new piece of technology here on my wrist, which we talked about on last episode.
Yes.
And I did all the things. I set the sleep schedules and all these things. And it's like, oh, okay, at 4:30 I have to get up at 4:30 in the morning to go to the gym. It's like, we'll tap your wrist and play these soft songs to wake you up gently. And so I'm like, okay, cool, let's try that. So then the next thing I know, it's 6 in the morning and I've completely missed the gym.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, oh, what a letdown. The
Yeah.
watch just failed me.
You need those loud, obnoxious ones that are like sirens. Wah, wah, wah.
Essentially.
You know?
What I really need is one of those alarm clocks that jumps off the table and rolls around the floor. And you have to hit it with a Nerf dart in order for it to stop.
It shoots water at you and shocks
Yeah.
you, you know?
Yeah.
It's like a built-in
Except for
taser.
My wife is the lightest sleeper in the world. So I'm surprised my watch didn't wake her up. But so I had to text my buddy Zach and be like, dude, I totally slept through my alarm. Felt bad, left him hanging. But,
Oh, man.
It's all good. It's all good.
Well, you make up for it tomorrow, right? You're good.
For tomorrow. I'll be a minute early.
Yes, there it is. Nice.
What about
Nice.
you, man? How's your 2 days of the week been so far?
2 days have been good. The week so far, who cares? There hasn't been anything that happened so far this week. The weekend was really nice, though. We went out and, we hit up 2 wineries and, social distanced, of course, stayed away from everybody. The way that they got it all set up is you don't have to be near anyone. We also hit up a brewery, 2 breweries, actually, now that I think about it, now that I'm remembering the events of that day. And then we came home and had a fire. And then the next day we also had a fire. So had 2 fires this weekend. Like you said, man, beautiful weather. It was perfect fire weather. Cleaned out the fire pit, got it going, had a nice fire, and just relaxed. And this weekend, I'm going to be traveling up to my home state, my hometown, seeing the family. Haven't seen them since, around Christmas time. So it'll be nice to go up there and see them again. Haven't seen them in such a long time. So That'll be really exciting. Speaking of which, I guess, we could say it now. If you guys are listening, we'll shout it out, on the social medias and whatnot. But, there's not going to be an episode going out this weekend. We're not going to be recording this Friday because I'll be hitting the road on Thursday, and won't be recording. But what I will be doing right now is drinking a sweet, nice, delicious Anderson Valley. This is the loser from last week. Framboise Rose Gosa. So,
Nice.
yeah, man.
Bringing out the bear deer again.
Yeah, we got the good old bear deer.
If you guys aren't watching the video portion of this episode, the can has a bear with antlers on it drinking out of a stream.
It's like a jackalope, but a beeralope. It's like a
Ooh.
bearalope, a beeralope, right?
I like that.
Yeah, we'll go with that. So yeah, man. Well, super excited to get into these fights today. I hope you are too.
Yes, sir. Yep, I've got my beer here as well. This one, actually, my brother got me this for my birthday. It's called it's a Green Man Trickster IPA. Really interesting looking can. It's kind of hard to see the reflections from everything, but it's got creepy little faces all over it, like these jesters.
Yeah, you know what that reminds me of Batman, because it has those question marks on the side.
Yeah,
and that's like the Riddler, and then you got like the jesters on the front, and that's like the Joker. You know?
Yep.
How is it?
It's really delicious, actually. Very smooth.
Awesome.
But yeah, we'll save the beer talk for our next regularly scheduled episode, because we've got a lot of fight stuff to talk about. Let's get into that, man. So we had a fight night this past weekend. If you guys didn't see it, you missed a great night of fights. I would highly suggest maybe even pausing this episode, going and watching the recaps, the highlights, or maybe even replaying the fights altogether if you're an ESPN Plus subscriber. It was a really exciting night of fights, man. I'm glad. Like, usually there are some fight nights where I don't tune in for the live events, but I'm glad this is the one that I chose to watch.
Me too. Yeah. I didn't catch all of them. Was celebrating my wife's birthday, but I caught the last 3.5, I guess, because I caught the end of Johnny Walker and Ryan Spann.
Yeah.
But from what I was reading and looking at, dude, it looked like the rest of the card and the prelims too were just awesome. So,
yeah, definitely.
Really excited to talk about these.
Yeah, tons to go over. We'll focus on. I think we should focus on just like the top 4 fights of the main card. But again, I suggest going back and watching that entire night. But speaking of Johnny Walker versus Ryan Spann, man, what a fight, dude! Crazy short fight. Obviously Johnny Walker's been a big prospect in the division for a while now. So it's always exciting to watch him. He's a very unpredictable, interesting style fighter. And Ryan Spann's definitely nothing to turn up your nose at, So this was a great one going in. And I'm pretty sure, I'd have to look back to say for sure, but I think Johnny Walker was definitely the favorite going into it. But he got wobbled early in the first round, got wobbled. And looked like he was going to get put away for a second. I know you said you caught the end of it, but it was quick, man. He was in danger there for a second.
Yeah, round one, 2 minutes and 43 seconds in, I saw that. Johnny Walker, he's kind of like moves in like a goofy kind of manner,
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like he always has his feet under him, and you could see that in his fight. I saw the highlights, and like he got rocked the first time, and his feet just like kind of like left him, It was kind of weird. And then even the second time they both rocked each other, but like Ryan Spann didn't fall down. It was Johnny Walker like fell to the ground but got up immediately.
Yep.
And it was I don't know. I wonder if he has trouble with balance because he's like so tall. I'm not sure.
Probably. I mean, he's a very tall, lanky guy, but so eventually he came to his senses, and he ended up putting away Ryan Spann with the KO victory. Very exciting fight. I mean, I guess for me, I'm just wondering who's next for Johnny Walker. I mean, there's a lot of prospects in that division, the light heavyweight division, but also, obviously we'll be talking about light heavyweight here in a second when we're talking about the fights coming up this weekend. But like, who do you think's next for Johnny Walker? You think he should continue? I mean, obviously he's going to probably go up a couple spots in the rankings, but I'm trying to figure out who would be the best fight for him next.
Yeah, that's a good question. He's definitely had some trouble recently. It's good that he got a win under his belt. He beat Corey Anderson back in November, and Corey Anderson, I think, was in the top. I think he was ranked in like definitely the top 10. He might have been in the top 5 at the time. But then Johnny Walker lost to Nikita Krylov, and I'm sorry, he lost to Corey Anderson. He didn't beat Corey Anderson. I misspoke there. Sorry. He lost to Corey Anderson and he lost to Nikita Krylov, but he beat Misha Serkinov prior to that.
Yep.
So he hasn't really. I don't think Ryan Spann's in the top 10. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, he's currently ranked 12.
Ranked
Well,
12.
he's ranked 12 now. I think the rankings updated as of today. So
Okay.
he may have been. I mean, he may have been 11 or 10 at the time, but now Johnny Walker's actually, as we speak, live breaking news. Johnny Walker now in the top 10. He's a number 10 contender in the light heavyweight division.
They gave him
So good
number
for
10.
him.
No way.
Gave him number 10. Now he's broken into the top 10. But I see what you're saying. I mean, he hasn't had like that great of a streak compared to some of the other guys who are in that division. But then you've also got guys like Anthony Smith who are on a little bit of a losing streak themselves.
Yeah. So that's what I was gonna say is, do you put Anthony Smith against Johnny Walker? Because Anthony Smith kind of needs to like redeem himself at this point. I kind of feel like I don't think they should put Anthony Smith for Anthony Smith's sake. I don't think they should put him against Johnny Walker. I think I would like to see Anthony Smith against like a Ryan Spann. Two guys coming off of losses, got to fight it out to see who's gonna, who's really gonna show themselves. I wouldn't mind seeing. Johnny Walker already lost to. I'm sorry. Hold on. Before I keep talking, let me get my story straight. He already lost to Nikita Krylov, and so Nikita Krylov's ranked number 9. I could see him, having that rematch again. But I also wouldn't mind seeing him fight Volkan Oezdemir. So Johnny Walker, my thoughts are Johnny Walker versus Volkan Oezdemir. That's where I think he goes from here.
Yeah, I agree with that, man. Volkan's also got his last fight was in, let's see, he fought this year.
Anthony
July.
Smith. Yeah.
No, Volkan, his last fight was against Jiri Prochazek.
Oh, I'm thinking of Glover Teixeira. You're right. Yeah, Volkan Oezdemir. Yeah. And he lost that fight, right? Volkan did.
He did lose that fight, but he won the 2 leading up to that. So, he's ranked currently, let's see.
7. He's ranked 7th right now.
Ranked number 7. So, yeah, I could see that fight happening. I think there was even an article that came out after his fight in July, and he was like, look, guys, I just want to fight. He's like, it doesn't matter if you give me somebody who's climbing the ranks or even unranked. I just want to fight. That could be a good matchup.
Yeah.
But obviously lots of talent in that light heavyweight division, and we'll see how things go after this weekend. Shake things up a little bit.
Speaking of talent, our next fight, man, oh my gosh, dude. Oh my gosh. Khamzat Chimaev versus Gerald Meerschaert. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say here. It was a 17-second fight. Oh my God, some controversy going into it where Khamzat's saying, oh, you're nothing, I'm going to smash you, brother. And then you got Gerald Meerschaert getting disrespected because Khamzat's getting double booked. Well, it doesn't seem like it after the fact. Now, I'm not sure if the Damian Maia fight's happening based on the post-fight press conference or what the next fight is going to be.
Right.
But yeah, man, you got to feel bad for Gerald Meerschaert because he got disrespected, and then you go in there, and man, let me break it down real quick. If you go back and watch the replay, Khamzat pushes Gerald's like left hand back, and it almost like it distracts him, and then he steps on Gerard's foot with his foot. If you go back and watch this, he pushes his hand back and then he steps on his foot and then he gives him this like, it starts out as a looping right hook and then it ends up as a straight right on the button. Yeah. And Gerald just goes down instantly, dude. And it's just so crazy that like it was so fast. He stepped on his foot. Like this guy, he's getting his hand pushed back and somebody just stepped on his foot. I would be like so distracted by that. And then you get punched in the jaw. Of course he's going to get knocked out, man. It was crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was nuts, man. I didn't know that he stepped on his foot. I need to go back and watch that because that's kind of funny. I wonder if that was his strategy. I kind of doubt it, but I was shocked, man. Literally my jaw touched the floor. Just complete disbelief that just happened. All this stuff going in. I was kind of pulling for Gerald, however you pronounce his name. going into it, just because of the fact that he was double booked on top of, like he a little bit disrespected, so I was kind of like thinking maybe at least give him a good fight, at least give Khamzat his toughest fight yet, but that wasn't the case, and that when that happened, I just literally jaw hit the floor. I mean, I'm curious. I wonder if Dana feels justified in his decision to double book Khamzat at this point. And again, like you said, we don't really know for a fact when he would be facing Damian Maia, or even if. And I've even seen some headlines out there that he may even fight again before his matchup with Damian Maia, which is like literally 2 weeks away. So like he's gonna what are they gonna do? Find a spot for him on like next week's fight card? I don't understand.
Exactly.
Like, what kind of record is this guy gonna set for like most consecutive fights within like a 30-day period?
And wins in the first round. It's crazy.
Yeah, but it's insane.
But yeah, Dana said it right after the fights at the press conference. He said, "No, maybe it might not be Damian Maia. It might be somebody else."
Yeah, I think he even said, I'm not sure if Damian Maia is ready for that. I don't know, man. It's crazy. Is it beginner's luck? I don't think so. The guy just has a lot of talent, a lot of power. I mean, it's very impressive and exciting to watch. These are the kind of people you want to have in the sport, and draws in the crowds and the money, obviously. Yeah. I was looking at some of the statistics, and I think he's absorbed, literally, in his last 3 fights, Khamzat has absorbed 2 shots in 3 fights. He's been punched 2 times in his last 3 fights, and he's given out over 200 strikes.
Oh, my Lord.
Which is a low number, mind you. 200 is a very low number for 3 fights. That just means that's how quickly he's been putting people away, and how little damage he's been taking. So of course he's ready for another fight.
Jeez.
It's crazy. But I do want to just put out a correction really quick. On a previous episode, we said he was from Dagestan. He was another Dagestani. He looks like he's a Dagestani. He looks like a Khabib, but it's actually, I looked it up, he's actually Swedish. He was born in Chechnya, which is about 5 hours from Dagestan, but he is actually Swedish. So just a real quick correction there. But man, what an exciting fight. Feel bad for Gerald. But great job to Khamzat. Can't wait to see him fight again.
Yeah. Yeah, he's calling out people like Jorge Masvidal, and after the fights he was there was a little bit of a commotion between him and Kamaru Usman, and Kamara's just like, good for him, keep riding that hype train. Yeah. So, yeah, who knows? Maybe they'll be fighting each other someday, but
maybe
we'll
one
see.
day. He's still got some. I wonder if he's ranked yet.
Well, first off, which weight class would we look at, right?
That's true, because he's just fighting. Was it middle and welter?
Yeah, it's middle and welter. His last fight was middleweight, I think.
Yeah, he's not on the board yet.
Yeah, not yet.
Kind of a shocker, but
Damian Maia's ranked number 6 at welterweight. So like, it would be crazy if they put him up against Tyron Woodley.
Why though? Just why?
Just to see Tyron just keep. Anyway, we'll get to
that in a second. But before we get there, let's talk about the co-main event of the night: Cowboy Cerrone versus Niko Price.
Yeah.
Damn it, man! I want Cowboy to get a win. I think more than Cowboy wants to get a win. Like, you can't help but to pull for Cowboy. He's like the most likable guy in the sport, I feel like.
Just can't catch a break.
Yeah, it just wasn't his night. I knew going into this that Niko Price was going to be a hard matchup for him. Niko, again, another really, really unorthodox fighter. You never know where he's going to get you. Where he's going to attack you from. He's one of only 2 fighters who in the UFC who has gotten a KO from an up kick. And he's had like another couple of like just crazy, like I think it was like a backwards like spinning elbow knockout, some crazy knockouts this guy has.
Yeah.
So I knew this would be an interesting one for Cowboy, and it wasn't looking good in the first round. So in the first round, Cowboy was getting beat up on pretty bad, and Niko was giving it 100%. It seemed like in that first round. And fortunately, Cowboy was able to kind of withstand that, and Niko got, I wouldn't say gassed because that guy's got unlimited gas tank, but he definitely didn't have quite the spunk in the following rounds, which is probably in Cowboy's benefit.
Yeah, that's what it kind of seemed like. It just didn't seem like Cowboy could ever really get going, though. Historically, if you look at Cowboy fights, usually he comes out pretty slow and then he starts picking up the pace as the rounds go on. So I mean, I guess that kind of happened here, but
Yep.
it wasn't fast enough. It wasn't enough. And we know that it ended in a draw. There was some eye pokes that happened. Niko was obviously having some trouble keeping his hands closed, and finally, the inevitable happens. A point gets taken, and the fight results in a draw. But honestly, I feel like that hurts a little bit more for Cowboy, because he knows that if it wasn't for those eye pokes, it would have been a loss, and it would have been another loss for him, which is sad. But I mean, does he kind of just not really have the gusto anymore? Who was his last win against?
It's been, I think he's on like a 3-fight losing streak at this point. I'm trying to remember who he beat last. While you look that up, speaking about the eye pokes, actually there was an article that came out saying that Dana White has looked at alternative MMA gloves to curb eye pokes. I haven't really read fully into this yet, so I'm not sure if they're actually looking at a decision, but there's a UFC coach. It's actually Justin Gaethje's coach. His name is Trevor. I can't remember Trevor's last name.
Trevor Whitman?
Trevor Whitman, thank you. He actually has a company, and I also don't know the name of his company. I feel very ill-prepared, so if you wouldn't mind looking at his name of his company really quick.
Sure.
Trevor Whitman has a company where he actually designs and stitches himself MMA equipment. So one of the first things he made was MMA gloves, alternative MMA gloves, which his fighters train with, and he sells these things, and he's trying to get a contract with different promotions. He's talked to the UFC obviously about it, but he's developed a glove that is designed to prevent eye pokes. And what he has said, and I've gathered all this from the Joe Rogan's podcast. He was on there one time with Justin Gaethje. According to him, the gloves that the UFC uses has like a hard material like right in the palm, and it's very unnatural. Like your hand naturally wants to kind of, like, this is a resting position for my hands.
Yeah.
But the way the gloves are designed, the resting position is like outstretched like this. So the fighter actually has to put effort into closing their fists when they throw a punch. So his gloves design allow the hand to naturally close up like this and not have fingers outreached. And it's easier for the fighter's hands to close up when they throw a punch. And Joe Rogan even tried them on during his show and talked about how far superior they were to the UFC's gloves. Did you happen to find the name of his company?
Yeah, it's ONX.
Onyx, yeah.
Incorporated, and the gloves, the gloves really do look like boxing gloves almost. But the fingers are exposed. So the fingers are still exposed, but like at first glance, they look like boxing gloves. The thumbs are not exposed, from what I'm seeing here. So it just looks like it takes care of that whole extending your fingers problem. It keeps them curved in.
Yeah.
And, prevents the eye pokes, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, that's such an issue, man. Like, we've seen before, Jeremy Stevens versus, was it Yair Rodriguez? Like, got poked so bad in the eye that his eye literally, like, was unable to open up. And they had to stop that fight. Like, it just sucks to have a fight stopped on something like that. And not to mention, some of these guys are just so, have so much pride, and they've trained so long for these fights that if they get poked in the eye, if they're able to open that eye and, like, even if they can't see, if they don't have 100% of their vision back, they're going to keep fighting on. And then at that point, it's a disadvantage for them, which is just an unfortunate situation.
Yep.
But, regardless, Cowboy was able to push through that. Niko even got an eye poke himself by Cowboy. I think it was even like a double eye poke.
Yep. Yeah.
But, you mentioned it. Niko lost a point from the eye pokes. If he wouldn't have lost the point, it would have been a win, and it would have been another number in his win column.
Yep.
But yeah, it was so weird after the fight. Like, they called draw, and Niko was like celebrating. He's like, yeah, yeah.
And he got in Donald's face, and just the look on Donald's face, man.
Yeah, just the look of pure defeat and looking at Niko like, what the hell's wrong with you, man? Why are you excited about this? This sucks.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, tough night for Cowboy. I did see something earlier that he said, I'm not retiring, I'm not giving up. But in the post-fight press conference, Dana White said, essentially, word for word, he said, Donald and I need to have a conversation. He obviously Donald doesn't want to give up, but I guess Dana's got to have a real candid conversation with him. Like, is this the time where we need to reconsider what's happening here? So sucks for Cowboy.
So those gloves are called X Factor training gloves, on onxsports.com. If you want to go check them out, there's a pre-order available right now for $309. A couple different sizes, 12, 16, and 18 ounces. So anybody out there wants to go check those out, onxsports.com. They're X Factor gloves.
Awesome. Well, I think we've arrived at the main event of the evening, the fight we've all been waiting to talk about and bash. Tyron Woodley.
Oh, sorry. Shit.
He's falling asleep.
My bad.
He's falling asleep.
My bad.
Tyron Woodley versus Colby Covington. Man, let's just get your initial thoughts up front.
I've been saying this for the past, at least a year now about Tyron Woodley. He's just not good, man. He's just not good. He used to have that right hand knockout power, and that's all he ever had. And he's always gone around being like, oh, the best, welterweight, one of the best welterweights of all time, blah, 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 blah. This guy's not an MMA fighter. This guy is a one-punch knockout artist, and he can't pull the trigger. If you have one move, and that's your move, you better do that move. You're not going to win. He's not doing that move. He's not getting that one punch. No. And he's not winning, dude. He's just been getting bullied every time by these guys. And I don't understand how he can have a background in wrestling but get pushed up against the cage. At one point during the fight, his coach is yelling at him, turn the corner, get off the cage. And he takes a moment, pauses, looking at his coach and says, yes, coach, I'll get off the cage soon, coach. No, dude. You don't look at your coach and say, yes, coach, I'll get off the cage soon. You just get off the cage.
Right.
Dude, put it in gear. Do your job. This guy's out here sleeping. I don't even think he broke a sweat, man.
I don't think so either. I mean, to his credit, in the first round, I was actually shocked. I'm like, oh my, okay, he actually came out. He's actually moving. He was trying to be first. Like, he was trying to, put on the pressure. That lasted all of a minute and a half or something like that. He was throwing giving a couple different looks, like changing levels, throwing a left hand here and there, putting in a couple jabs. But the second that Colby Covington shot for the takedown, got the takedown, that completely changed the tempo of the entire fight for the remainder of the rest of the fight. And he went right back to where he was last fight, like you just said.
Yep.
Getting pushed up against, not even just getting pushed up against the cage. Like, he was just retreating back to the cage.
Right.
Like, I'm sure if there wasn't a fence there, he would back all the way up out the arena and be, gone down the street. Like, what are you doing? If you're not there, if your heart's not there to fight, then just don't get in the cage. Like, if you don't have fight in you anymore, then find something else, man. Like, just go and do something else. But Colby Covington was having none of that. And I was actually pretty impressed by Colby. I think he had a little bit of a chip on his shoulder just after that loss to Kamaru. He had something to prove, I feel like, even though that was a great fight. But just having that loss, he had something to prove. And he came out and showed his kickboxing skills, which he used to kind of set up his wrestling and just impose his will on Tyron. I mean, the whole fight, he was just in complete dominance, I think a lot of people expected. And Tyron just doesn't have it. I mean, where has Tyron Woodley gone? I I don't understand. I think, like you said, I mean, like he's always looking for that counter right hook, overhand right hook to kind of seal the deal, but everyone's wised up to it. They're not going to let that happen. And as long as they stay in close with him, push him up against that cage, like that's all they need to do.
Yeah, man. I think they figured it out. Is just bully him, and he's not going to do anything against you if you just bully him, which is so weird, because of all the animosity,
Yeah.
2 years ago between these guys, and the pre-fight, weigh-ins and pre-fight press conference. They didn't even have a pre-fight press conference. Tyron didn't show up. It was just Colby, and there was no animosity. There was no build-up. There was like nothing, man. It was flat. And you would think a guy that was saying, "Man, I want to kill this guy," 2 years ago would want to show up and start talking shit, and it just didn't happen. It was a bit of a letdown, I think. But to your point, bravo to Colby. I thought he really came out. I think he had a good game plan. He executed that game plan perfectly, and Tyron broke his rib in the end. So.
And in the end, Tyron broke his rib. Yeah, if you guys didn't watch the fight, spoiler alert, but yeah, he it was weird. I mean, like it was a couple of times in the fight that Tyron actually tried to get a submission. What was he trying to get? Was it a guillotine or something?
Yeah, it was well, he was starting with getting a guillotine, and then he changed it to a I can't remember what it's called. It's basically where you like put your fingers together and you like put it under the person's chin and just like pull up on it. It's not like against a fighter, like it's not going to work. But yeah.
Yeah, so he was on his back. Colby was on top of him. Apparently his rib had popped at some other point during the fight, but he was on his back. He was trying to pull out a submission on Colby. It looked, futile. Like it wasn't going to go anywhere. He clearly was not going to win that fight, but then he tweaked his body in some sort of way that just broke his rib, and he just started kind of screaming out, and they stopped the fight at that point. And later, X-rays came out and showed that he actually had a broken rib.
Yeah.
So that definitely sucks for him. Definitely. I mean, regardless of what you think about the guy, you don't like to see fighters get injured in that kind of way. But I mean, I don't think there was any saving that fight on his part. He wasn't going to pull that one out. So
yeah,
it is what it is.
It's kind of like insult to injury kind of deal,
Yeah. And then, speaking of Dana's press conference after the fight, he again mentioned for Tyron Woodley, he might want to start looking at like what's next. This might not be more fights, might not be where he needs to go with his career. And Rashad Evans and Kamaru Usman actually were on like the post-fight, panel or whatever you want to call it. Rashad, obviously, being retired, he said that it looks like Tyron Woodley's in a similar position as he was towards the end of his career. And might be time to consider some things. And Kamaru Usman even said that, if your heart's not in it, if you don't have that same drive and same passion for it, maybe it's time to look at something different. So you've got fighters saying it, you've got the president of the UFC saying it, you've got media saying it, and maybe it's time to listen to those people or make a change. He's still in obviously pretty good physical condition. I think it's all mental for Tyron Woodley. If he doesn't make a change in his training regimen or his just, bag of tricks, I don't think there's many more W's in his future.
Yeah, I think that, I don't see him coming back ever. I don't think that, first off, I don't think he actually has the skill set to beat either Gilbert Burns or Kamaru Usman. I actually don't think that he has the technical skill set to beat those guys. I think that if he's going to win those fights, it's going to be a one punch knockout. It's going to be luck, maybe luck, mostly luck, I think. But I just don't see it happening, man. In my opinion, he ought to hang up the gloves. He's probably made his money. I know he's kind of got a lot of other income sources, that he can draw from. So I don't think he necessarily needs to fight. And I know that he's done commentating for the UFC, and I don't think he's that bad at that. So I mean, he could do it. Not for the fights, but he's been doing like the post fights and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what we've said before. Is like, dude, if you're smart, it's just like it's just like NFL players. Like, if you start to reach the end of your career, you've reached you're approaching 40, you're exiting your peak physical condition, you've been injured a few times. Like, you should go ahead and start exploring your option. Like Jason Witten, tight end for the Cowboys, went on to be a fantastic commentator for the NFL, even though he went and started playing again at some point last season, I believe. But the same goes for the UFC. Like, retired fighters is actually what the sport needs, in my opinion. You know, we've got a great color commentating staff as it is already. I don't think we need really more of those at this point. But judges, post-fight commentators, like just general coverage of the sport, you know, you can't do better than somebody who's actually been in there before and can actually contribute to some of the, you know, knowledge of what you're actually watching.
I think that the judges should be fighters. I think that a lot of others have said that before as well, but you have so many fighters that are out of the game now. They could be judges, you know, they could be doing it, and they know the fights, you know, for the most part. Some of them don't, some of them do, but your top level fighters that have been champions, you know, leverage them to be your judges.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So I think that about does it for the fight night. We spent a lot of time on that, but it was a lot to talk about. Man, like I said, exciting fight. I almost want to go back and rewatch some of those just for fun, just because it was such an amazing night. But we've got something even more exciting coming up this weekend. UFC 253, Saturday night on pay-per-view. I cannot wait to watch this. I think we want to cover, really what we're going to cover right now is the two main events. So the two title fights. Is I think what we should spend our time on.
Cool.
And we've talked about them in the past before, but the time is now, so we can't ignore these. How excited are you for Dominick Reyes versus Jan how do you say it? Blachowicz or
Blachowicz? I think I've heard
people say it both ways.
Blachowicz? Maybe it is. Maybe it's Blachowicz.
Blachowicz?
I always thought it was Blachowicz, but actually Blachowicz sounds right too. All right, so how do I feel about this? I think that these two guys are at the top of their game right now. I think certainly when we saw Dominick Reyes fight against Jon Jones, it was phenomenal. You know, I still say that he beat Jon Jones, and in my opinion, he is the champion right now. You know, and then we go look at Jan Blachowicz. He has been on a tear. He beat Corey Anderson in his last fight, and that was Corey Anderson's last bout in the UFC. Kind of a sad story there because he knocked Corey Anderson out, and Corey Anderson had some medical problems after that, which really sucks. But it just goes to show the power that Blachowicz had. He beat Souza in a decision. He broke Luke Rockhold's jaw. You know, but he did actually lose to Thiago Santos back in February of 2019, and Thiago Santos is still ranked higher than Jan Blachowicz, but Thiago Santos is fighting Glover Teixeira. Or actually, I think that fight got canceled, didn't it?
Oh, did it?
You know what? Don't quote me on it. Last thing I saw was that they were fighting, but I thought something had happened. That, you know, might have got that fight canceled. But, you know, I said it before. I was surprised that Thiago Santos wasn't fighting Dominick Reyes. So, that all being said, I think that Jan Blachowicz has a lot of power. If you're going to ask me right now who I think is going to win, I think that Dominick Reyes not only has the power, but he's got so much speed in his punches and accuracy in his punches. He's a sharpshooter. Jan Blachowicz is throwing cannonballs at you. Dominick Reyes is shooting rockets at you. Okay? In my opinion, I think Dominick Reyes is going to take this, but I feel like it's going to be a knockout either way. It's going to be a knockout on one side. I don't really see this thing going to a decision. I personally think that Dominick Reyes is going to knock Jan Blachowicz out in the first or second round.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I would like to see, just because we have been having a lot of like really quick fights, I want to see this go at least into the third or fourth round. But I do agree with you that I think Dominick Reyes will pull this one out. Jan Blachowicz, I mean, he's had a lot of great fights like you mentioned, but that last fight against Corey Anderson, again, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not questioning the skill set of any of these athletes, okay? But if you rewatch that fight, it ended in the first round. You know, I don't want to say lucky. Lucky's a bad way to phrase it, but like, he got a clean shot on Corey Anderson as Corey Anderson was approaching, and just was right. You know, the timing was perfect. The position was perfect, and you know, Corey Anderson went out. He didn't see it coming, and he went out. So, does that really showcase all of Jan Blachowicz' skill set? I don't really know. You know, on the other hand, you've got Dominick Reyes, who's proved himself by lasting 5 rounds against the greatest light heavyweight of all time, John Jones. And like you said, many would say that he won that fight. I would definitely be in that corner with you. So yeah, it's gonna be a great fight. I love your analogy of the rockets and cannonballs. It's gonna be a slugfest. I mean, we're definitely not gonna see this go to the ground, I don't think. I believe Jan's got a couple of submission victories in his repertoire, but
yeah,
I don't foresee this one going to the ground.
Yeah, he submitted Nikita Krylov and somebody else. I can't remember, but I don't see this going to the ground. And so here's a little bit of fight math, I guess you could say, is he beat Souza. Souza's not known for his striking. Souza's known for his submission game. So Blachowicz was able to stay out of that submission game, and he got a decision win. Didn't knock Souza out. Some other people have knocked him out, but Blachowicz didn't knock Souza out. He did knock Rockhold out, but I think Rockhold's way past his prime, and he was looking sloppy. He lost to Santos. Santos is a superior striker. I, again, think that Santos and Reyes are fairly close, and we saw Santos' performance against John Jones, who some also say Santos potentially could have taken that depending on who the judges were that night.
And if his knees didn't get blown out.
Yeah. So that all being said, Blachowicz, as a striker, he's really not knocking out a whole lot of people. More recently he has been getting some knockouts, so that's good, but I'm just not 100% sure on his striking game compared to the performances. Based on looking at his performances compared to some of the other performances we've seen behind Dominick Reyes, I just, my money's on Reyes, man.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm kind of salty still that the UFC didn't make Dominick Reyes versus Thiago Santos the title fight. I just don't understand why pit. I mean, I can see Glover Teixeira versus Thiago Santos. That's going to be a great fight. But why not put the two guys who questionably could have stopped John Jones? Dominick Reyes may have, depending on who the judges were. Thiago Santos definitely could have, had he not obliterated both of his knees in that fight. Could have put John Jones away. That would have been an amazing fight. Regardless, if Dominick wins, and he does take the belt, I hope, and if Thiago wins against Glover Teixeira, I hope they make that fight.
Yeah.
Because that's the one that I really want to see.
Yeah, me too. That's definitely the fight.
Yep.
I don't know if I see Dominick Reyes as having, the type of career that John Jones had per se.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how good his wrestling game is. So somebody with a really good wrestling background, ground and pound, could come in and, do something about that. But also, I don't think John Jones tried to take Dominick down and wasn't able to. So there's something to say about that.
I think you're right. So moving on to our main event this Saturday, we all know it. We all been waiting for it. Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. Man, I can't wait for this. To be honest, man, if this was the only fight on the card, I would be super stoked.
Oh yeah,
this is the one I've been waiting for like months at this point.
Oh, these guys are monsters. They're both undefeated in the UFC. Holy crap, dude! I can't. Somebody's losing their egg this weekend.
Oh, good point.
Somebody's losing
Man,
their egg.
it's even higher stakes now that you put it that way.
Unless it's a draw.
Yeah, I mean, and unless it's a draw, please don't be a draw. If it's a draw, like, I mean, I don't see.
We
I
get
don't
to
think
see it
that's
again,
possible.
I guess.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Nah,
Yeah.
if it's a close fight, they'll probably give it to Israel because that's how the judges do it all the time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we've covered this. We've talked about it a couple different times. Just to get it out of the way, I think Israel's going to pull this out, just based on his technical striking abilities. Even though Paulo's come out and said that he thinks he has superior, striking and accuracy over top of Israel. I don't know that that's actually statistically true, but I just think that the style bender will use his style against Paulo Costa. He's evasive. He's elusive. Paulo's going to be coming out with the bombs, trying to take him out, put him away. But I think Israel will be able to survive. I don't know. I mean, we've talked about it. Everyone's got a punching chance. I think Paulo's got more than a punching chance.
Yeah.
But we've seen Israel in deep waters. We've seen him take damage. We've seen him get knocked down, recover, and still pull out a win, just with his sheer, accuracy and skill set. So I think that might be what we see on display again this Saturday.
So I certainly think that this is going to be the biggest test for both of these guys. This is their biggest test, of course, and it's crazy that this kind of test is coming at the top of both of their games. Israel, we have seen him rocked a couple times. I don't think we've ever seen Paulo Costa rocked, and he got hit with some nasty shots when he fought Yoel, and he hit Yoel with some nasty shots that would put anybody else on the canvas. So that's interesting. He walks around at like 215, which is 30 pounds higher than he fights at, which I think is absolutely insane. The one thing that Israel really has going for him, and he usually has this on anybody that he's fighting against. First off, he's 6'3", Paulo Costa's 6'1", but Israel's got an 80-inch reach, and that's to Paulo's 72-inch reach. So he's got an 8-inch reach advantage, and I mean, he's a world-class, probably one of the best kickboxers there are. So, I mean, he's got all that skill coming into the game, but Paulo Costa's a tank. He's an absolute tank. He's gonna keep walking Israel down, and he's gonna try and get in his face, and he's gonna try and make something happen. But Israel is very elusive. He's got great head movement. He's, stings like a bee, floats like a butterfly. He does all that good stuff, and I think honestly he wants people to walk him down, because if you're walking him down, he's able to counter strike you, and he's able to put together his magic on you. If you're staying far away from him, that he's got to come after you, I think he'd much prefer you come after him. So this is going to be an interesting fight. I think there's going to be a lot of they're going to be running around the cage the whole time, and Paulo's going to be chasing him down the whole time, and Israel's going to be on the counter. He's going to be on the counterattack game the whole time, and Paulo's going to be chasing him and trying to catch him. And frankly, I'm like, I don't know who to call on this one. I'm
looking at Paulo Costa's record even before he came into the UFC. His professional record right now. Before he got into the UFC, I'm counting them right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 round 1 stoppages, knockouts, and one submission by rear naked choke. That was his record coming into the UFC.
Jeez.
All of those just first round finishes. His UFC fights have been 3 different second round knockouts and 1 unanimous decision, and that was against Yoel Romero. So the guy, I don't know, I'm thinking that if Israel can last the first couple of rounds, Costa hasn't seen the championship rounds yet. He hasn't seen rounds 4 and 5 yet. So I guess it's yet to be determined, like, what does his actual gas tank look like? We've seen what Izzy's looks like. We know he can last And we know he maintains that accuracy and that skill throughout. So I'll be interested in seeing. I feel like if Costa's going to win this, it's going to be in rounds 1 or 2.
Yeah.
It's going to be a big bomb that puts Izzy away. And I think my jaw again will hit the floor.
Oh, jeez.
I might cry a little bit. We'll see. So
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
That's crazy.
I think that Izzy's definitely he's better on the technical side for sure, but we saw him get rocked in his fight against Kelvin Gastelum, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm just interested to see. I mean, he did take a pretty big punch from Yoel Romero though, and that didn't rock him.
Right.
So I don't know. I just think if Paulo lands the right punch, we're gonna see Izzy knocked out. And Izzy has had his lights out before. If you go back, he did lose one of his kickboxing fights and got knocked out clean. Got hit on the button. The lights turned off. And I mean, I could kind of see. I can't see Paulo Costa getting knocked out by Izzy. First off, I don't see that happening, but I can see Izzy getting knocked out by Paulo. So
yeah.
Oh man, it's rough. I like Izzy more. I want him to win, but we'll see.
Yeah, they're both pretty likable guys. It's kind of hard to choose, but I do like Israel as well. I feel like he's earned his position. I think this is only the 5th fight for Paulo in the UFC. I don't know how long Izzy's actually been in the UFC, but yeah, I think I agree with you. I see Israel winning this fight. I like him better as a individual. So we'll see. We'll see in just a couple of days. We'll see, and we'll be chatting about it in the next iteration of weigh-in. So make sure you guys stick around for that. But I think we had a couple other more like news focused stories to kind of close out the show. Do you want to kick us off with that?
Yeah, we got a couple things to talk about just real quick. Just kind of getting into the fighter pay thing again. Jessica Rose Clark had a big win this past weekend. If you guys saw it against Sarah Alpar, it was a good TKO. She put a lot of heart into it. It was a great performance, but she didn't get performance of the night. And, it's kind of a letdown because she revealed badly. I'm sorry. She revealed after the fight that she really needed that money. And she showed her bank account after her win only had $17.70 in it. And, she wrote, hey, a bonus would have been nice, Uncle Dana. I'll do better next time. I mean, how sad is it to see somebody go out there? They're legitimately putting their life on the line. Body and limb, and life, all their blood and sweat into it. And what has she got to show for it, dude? $17.70? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, I agree with that. I think that the fighter pay is a big issue here. But also, I mean, I didn't watch this fight in full transparency. Did you watch highlights of this by chance?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder like how significant was the TKO? I know Mackenzie Dern got a bonus. I'm pretty sure she had a pretty good submission.
Armbar,
yeah, a pretty nasty armbar, and she got a bonus for that. There was like 4 or 5.
Four people, yeah.
in it.
Khamzat got one. I can't remember who the others were, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess there's always two sides to the story. I mean,
they can't give it out to everybody.
Yeah, you can't give everybody who wins a performance of the night. But there was no fight of the night. There was just performance of the night bonuses for whatever reason.
But you know what? It's beyond that, dude. It's not even, I know she made a point about the fight of the night, but that's just because they're like, the way that the UFC has strategized this, it's like they're paying these guys low, and then they get their hopes up with this fight of the night, and they're like, well, if you do good, then we'll give you a little bit more money. It shouldn't be like that. That's actually a that's like a really what's the word I'm looking for? Just like a scumbag kind of strategy there, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have to. I mean, yeah, give them $50,000, but don't start them out so low. They should be getting $50,000 off the rip. Every one of these fighters should be getting more than $200,000 a year minimum. They should be coming into the UFC. Oh, you got signed for the UFC? Oh, it's Black Panty Night at home, buddy. You just made $200,000 this year.
I don't know what that reference is, but that sounds
Conor.
Like
it's Conor McGregor. It's a Conor McGregor thing.
New episode title just happened.
Black Panty Night, buddy. Anyway, yeah, I think I just think that they should be getting paid $200,000. I mean, they have to pay their camps. They have to pay all of their training partners. They have to dish out all this money up front. And then
in hopes that things go their way.
Yeah. What if she didn't win I mean, what is she going to do for money now? It's a sham. It's a shame. It's a sham and a shame. And, they need to do better. This is unacceptable.
Sham wow.
Sham wow is right.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I do agree with you. I think somebody I was listening to at one point said, that really just the win, the purse for winning should be enough, right? Like the purse for winning should be more substantial than it is for a lot of these fighters. And like the bonus thing, just like you said, like you shouldn't have to count on the bonus in order to feel like you made a significant, profit or revenue or whatever off your fight.
Yeah.
It's like a win should be good enough. What, like, did I do it in this? Did I do like a Superman punch off the cage for a knockout? Or I don't. I mean, like, who makes the decision? Like, is it Dana sitting in a room watching the replays and saying like, yeah, I think that was cool enough? I don't know how that decision is actually made. Is there some favoritism in there? Do men get more performance of the night bonuses than women?
Big names probably get them.
Yeah,
big names probably get them more than prelim fighters usually.
Yeah, and that's kind of the sucky thing because the big name fighters are already getting bigger purses to begin with.
Yeah, I can understand how they're like trying to create this like atmosphere of competition, but
right.
Basic needs, guys. Basic needs. All right. Even if you lose your fight, you shouldn't have to be. Even if you come in and you lose your fight, you shouldn't have to be worried when you go home that you're not going to have enough money in your bank account. It is prize fighting, but give them enough money, even if they're losing, to live their life. Give them a lot more money if they win. And if they win in a spectacular fashion, then that's like they hit the jackpot. And then, of course, for anybody that's in the top 15, I mean, frankly, they should be making, $1 million a year. I feel like each one of those guys should all be getting paid millions.
Yeah.
And anybody that's not in the top 15, at least give them enough to get by,
right.
Even if they're losing.
Yep.
And I think $200,000, but and then you got Dana over here showing off his hotel room at the at Yas Island. He's got like a full workout. I don't know if you saw that video, but it is way too lavish, way too much.
What happened? I missed this.
Dana White did like a cribs of his suite on Yas Island, and it is absolutely insane. You got to go watch it, guys. If you haven't seen it, go watch it and just see how freaking extravagant this thing is. It's crazy, and then you got the fighters struggling with $17 in their bank account when he's over here making $500 million, living it up. I mean, he's got money to spare, dude.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. So go ahead.
I was just saying the last thing I had really just to kind of bring up was a mention of Leon Edwards. I mean, Leon Edwards he's on an 8-fight win streak. He's a British fighter. I think his last fight was against Rafael dos Anjos. He won that fight. He's calling out fighters left and right. I mean, he's been known to call out, I think, Jorge Masvidal, a couple of different fighters. But interestingly enough, he caught the attention of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. So we haven't seen Wonderboy fight in a while, and he actually took to Twitter for the first time. This is the first time he's ever done this. Wonderboy's too nice of a guy to call out any fighters. He has too much respect for everybody. He made his first Twitter call out and actually reached out to Leon. It was like the nicest Twitter call out that's ever happened in the UFC. Here's what it says, word for word. All due respect, Leon Edwards, which I have a lot for you. I have been saying I would like to fight you for a while now. It makes sense and it would be a great matchup. I think that was my first Twitter call out ever. Man, that felt weird. So, like, I've wondered this myself for a while. Like, what happened to Wonderboy? Like, Wonderboy was this massive like prospect for a long time, and like he just disappeared. Like, I think he lost his last fight, I believe. I don't remember who it
Well,
was against.
well, he lost. He lost against Tyron Woodley twice. Well, he drawed once and then lost to him the second time. And then you remember that Superman punch off the cage by Anthony Pettis?
Yeah, that was him. Yeah.
And then he fought Vicente Luque and beat Vicente Luque, I'm pretty sure. Or maybe that was his last fight. Was his last fight against Vicente Luque?
Yeah, he did win his last fight. That was in November of last year. So it's literally been almost a year since he fought, but also almost a year since Leon Edwards fought, and he's on an 8-fight win streak. Like,
Yeah,
what's
and
happening there?
well, he was trying to fight Jorge Masvidal, and then
Right.
Jorge just kind of like exploded, and was got the BMF title, and fought for the actual title, and all that stuff. So didn't really have time for him.
Yeah, I mean,
guess.
Leon's currently ranked number 3. Obviously, Gilbert Burns is ranked number 2. He's got a fight coming up with Kamaru Usman. Colby Covington's now ranked number 1, interestingly. He's ranked above Gilbert Burns. I think that's deservedly so. And Leon Edwards sitting at number 3, Jorge at number 4, Steven at number 5. So I think it makes sense. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, it does make sense. I'm surprised that Leon Edwards hasn't been like put up against, like Colby or Gilbert Burns or something like that.
I think that's what he was calling for. He was calling for a fight with Colby Covington, essentially saying, Tyron Woodley was saying that he wanted to take out. I don't want to get politics too involved in this podcast, but we all know that Colby Covington sports the red MAGA hat all over the place. Tyron Woodley was talking about Black Lives Matters, in his pre-fight interviews, things like that. And Tyron was saying that he's going to take out this racist guy or whatever. Now Leon's saying that he's going to be the one to take him out since Tyron couldn't get the job done. So he's calling for a fight with Colby Covington. I think that would be a great matchup. But then Steven's like, hey, I'm over here, man. I've been asking to fight you for a long time. Don't forget about me. I'm gonna do a super nice Twitter call out. So
Oh man.
that could be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, I would like to see that fight. That sounds like a good one. So I just got one little bit of news. John Dodson got released from the UFC. So if you guys follow the flyweight division at all, you know about John Dodson, and so he's been around for such a long time in the UFC. So I don't know the reasons behind it, but I know that he's been on a losing streak for a while now. Lost his most recent fight, so he's been let go. And I forgot to mention this earlier, but Donald Cerrone got recognized for passing 50 clean USADA tests. So bravo to him. I mean, geez, is he one of the most tested people or what? But it's awesome to see, such a popular guy, a beloved person, a beloved fighter, who's just clean, man. He's all around clean, hasn't had to cheat, and he's just that good naturally. Pretty good, pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. You definitely don't hear that story very much these days. Even the most respected of fighters like T.J. Dillashaw get mixed up in the wrong stuff.
Yeah, what a trash master he is. Anyway.
Oh wow. Okay. All right.
I don't like TJ. I think I just don't like TJ. I don't like him at all.
Yeah.
No.
He's coming back soon.
He is. I think that timer's almost up, isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
Gosh, man. Time flies, doesn't it?
Speaking of time being up, I feel like we've reached our limit here for the day, for the night.
On that note, I want to remind you all to follow our show here on Twitch, like and subscribe on YouTube. Also subscribe on Spotify and your favorite podcast player, or your favorite podcast player, or both, whatever you want to do. If you really want to help us grow, share this episode with a friend. As always, we appreciate your support, and we're glad you're here.
Yes, absolutely. I do want a quick shout out. We switched podcast distribution platforms. We're now working with Anchor FM. Excited to be working with Anchor. You can find us in hopefully more places now. We're actually on Amazon Music now, so check us out there. If you're an Amazon subscriber, you should be able to get us to pop up on your Alexa device. That'd be pretty cool. If you can make that happen, let us know. That'd be cool to see. But yeah, man, we're out there. We got the website going on, blogs, multiple distribution, points. So make sure you check us out. And as Reese just mentioned, if you have a friend who's into the UFC, into craft beer, technology, or video games, make sure you tell them about our show. we want to continue to grow and interact with you guys and just build a little bit of a community. So make sure you stop by and say hi in your favorite place. We're also pretty active on Instagram and Twitter, so make sure you check us out there too.
And I think we're going to be having another interview coming up soon too. Do we got that planned out yet?
Yeah, we can't announce that just yet. I think it's still in the works. We got another guest episode coming out. But if there's anyone that you guys out there want to see us, have an interview with or have on as a guest, then maybe another podcast host or a specific brewery you're interested in, or even a UFC fighter. We had the possibility of bringing on a UFC fighter. We haven't really explored that much yet, but not off the table completely. You guys let us know, and we'll look into that for sure.
Sounds good, man. Oh, so exciting.
Yeah, so really quick before we wrap up, just a reminder that, like you said at the beginning of the show, we won't be putting out our normal episode on Friday, but we will be back next week, absolutely, with a weigh-ins episode on Tuesday, unless something happens out of the ordinary, but we will be recapping the happenings of UFC 253, so make sure you check in with that.
I can't wait. I might not be able to watch it though, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh no.
I know. Oh man. All right, man. I think that's it, dude. Let's close it out. We're good to go, right?
Let's do it. Yep. That's all we got. So until next time, guys, thank you for listening in, and we'll see you in the next one.
Have a great time. We'll see you next time.
See ya.